It's that time of year where you find your go-to high engagement, low prep activities to use in your classes. Because I don't know about you, but I always get tired at the end of the school year. I don't want to do anything that is high prep. And if it's not high engagement, classroom management can be a total pain. So let's find our go-to end of the year high engagement activities that don't take a lot out of you as a teacher. Hey, it's Ashley, aka Señora de Spanish, where I provide easy-to-use resources to save you time and energy while you're lesson planning. If you're new here, I just want to make sure that you know that links to everything that I mentioned in this video will be down in the description box below. Alright, so 5 activities that you can do that are super high engagement, super low prep. Activity number 1 are scrambled sentences. I've shared about these before, but they are really a go-to for me, especially towards the end of the school year. Here's how they work. You're going to give your students cards or pieces of paper with chunks of sentences on them cut apart. Then students are just going to put the sentence in order. That's it. They take the scrambled sentence and they put it in order. You tell them yes or no, and then they go on to the next one. If you want to make this even lower prep, you have students write sentences using the target vocabulary and structures, whatever you're working on in your unit. Then you pick your favorite sentence out of all the sentences they've written. So say you have them write 10 sentences each, you pick 1 sentence per student. Then you give that student index cards or maybe even just a blank sheet of computer paper and you have them write the sentence out chunk by chunk. Cut it apart, make sure, maybe write their name on every single one. I usually number mine so that way if a student drops one, I can get them back together. But once you have your students write their sentences, cut them apart, and then create their sets, then you do the scrambled sentences activity with the sentences that they created as a class. Boom, boom, boom. That's like a multi-step activity. You could even do that over a couple of days. Have them do the sentences and create the cards, and then the next day, scramble and unscramble them. Activity number 2 is Corre and Círculos. This is like one of my ultimate go-to high engagement, low prep activities. It is super low energy for the teacher, super high energy for the students, which is like the perfect thing for the end of the year. Once it's set up, you just let them go. And here's how you set it up. You take the slips of paper and you tape them to the wall. And I have shared before when I say how I do this activity, I have my students tape them to the wall. So it's really, really low prep. Here's an example so you can see how it works. Students will read the small text at the bottom. So this one says, son las 11:30. And they're going to walk around the room until they find the card that says, son las 11:30. Well, not says, so you can see the numbers on the top that say 11:30. And then they're going to keep going around the circle until they've finished all of the prompts. Once they've finished all the prompts, they're done. If you want to learn more about how to play this game, make sure you check out this video here on my channel for the full explanation and 9 more ways you can play it in case you get sick of doing the all the way around the room scavenger hunt game. Another end of the year activity I saw on Twitter or X, I don't know. I saw it a long time ago, okay? So you'd probably have to dig through her feed to find it. But what you do is you have students make their own vocabulary set. So maybe you give them a list of vocabulary, they have to illustrate each vocabulary word and then write a definition for it in the target language. This is not really something for your novices, but towards the end of the year, my 2s were able to do it pretty well. So they have 3 columns on their piece of paper: vocab word, illustration, definition. And the definition is really helping them with circumlocution because they have to figure out how to describe that vocabulary word without using the vocabulary word in the target language. After they've created their vocabulary sets, they're going to cut apart all the pieces. So they'll have 3 pieces per word, and there's a ton of different things you can do with them once they've created the sets. Partner Matamoscas is one of my favorites. They spread out all the pieces, you call, they tap the card. This activity can be applied to any set of vocabulary, so it's a really great one to pull out at the end of the year when you're feeling like stuck. Low prep, high engagement option number 4 are blank game boards. And you might be going, Ashley, it is blank. That's clearly not low prep. Let me explain. Give your students a blank game board and then a set of task cards that you already have. Students will draw a task card, roll a die, answer the task card, and then if they're correct, they can move that many spaces along the game board. You can play this in pairs, you can play it in small groups, super easy option. If you don't have task cards already made, another simple option is for you to print out the blank game board and then you write in infinitives or vocabulary words just on one of them that come from your unit. Then make copies of the one that you just wrote in, give them to your small groups of students, and students can play. Again, roll a die, they move, they either translate or use the word in a sentence. If you're doing conjugation, have them roll 2 dice. One is the subject pronoun, and the other is how many spaces they're gonna move. and then they just play the game. If you want to grab 3 blank game boards you can use with your classes, make sure you check out the link in the description below where I have pre-made templates for you already for free. Okay, last high engagement, low prep activity that I have for you are online games. And this is probably something you already use, but let me give you a few options in case you've been using one of them all year long. Sometimes it's kind of nice to change it up towards the end of the year so they're not like, oh, this again. So some of my favorite options to do are Quizzes, Quizlet, and Quizlet Live, Kahoot, and you can play Kahoot the regular way, or you can play what I call a blind Kahoot, and I have a video explaining how to do that here on my channel. I'll make sure to link it for you in the description below. Purpose Games, which is a website with tons of different little games. And option number 5 is GimKit, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but it's honestly one of my favorites. Online games like that are super low prep for you because lots of times you can find games that other teachers have already made that fit what you need to practice with your students, and they're high engagement for your students because they're super fun. They're created to be engaging, so why not use them? Again, if you've already been using one of those all year round, try testing out a different one because sometimes that's a really easy way to up the engagement because students haven't used it before or they're not used to doing it with you, and that way it's just kind of changing things up. What are your favorite activities towards the end of the year? Comment below and let me know. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.